I haven't looked at these issues in ages.
I love those issues so much.
Yeah, they're so good.
You were at the con where I brought the suitcase, weren't you?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And he was totally cool about it. He wasn't,
Yeah.
I think the one thing that always stuck out to me, though, on this issue was just how long the cape was.
Yeah, he did make a super long cape, didn't he?
Yeah. I feel like I need to draw him wearing his trench coat and hat again. Not enough like disguises are worn by monsters in comics these days like that.
I agree. Well, I mean, I'm definitely gonna be putting Frank in a or should I call him Adam, in a trench coat. Trench coat look.
I think I'm making an echo. Yes. Yep. I accidentally had a window open.
Oh.
That was my fault. Pretty much everything that goes wrong, we can just blame me. It's fine.
That's all right. When you're on my stream, we can blame me.
Perfect. Well, hey Desiree. Hello, Jonathan.
Hey. It's good seeing you. Well, not seeing you, but it's good seeing you.
I think Desiree, you've never met my friend Allison. We met many years ago now at a comic convention. She's a very good artist and a comic encyclopedia, and
not as good as you.
But I think we actually met, like we talked about at Rhode Island Comic Con, over like dollar boxes, and I think that's apropos for both of us.
More than likely, yes. I think it was over dollar boxes.
Yeah.
All right. I've made a rough something I can work with and refer to.
You're ahead of me.
Manifested. And you may or may not see cats attacking me.
Hey, Kevin, how's it going? Allison was kind enough to help me with my lack of technical expertise to bring you our first team up. So very exciting.
Allison realizes that she needs better lighting in here.
I just have a cheap lamp. It was very cheap. I just put it right on top of my desk. It gets warm over the course of a live stream, but it does okay.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be buying a cheap lamp just to put on my desk.
Yeah.
I mean, I draw flat, so I don't really care about the angle.
Yeah. So what was the we both read Bernie's stuff for basically as long as since we discovered him at some point. Like, what was the first book you remember picking up and like remembering his name and seeing his name in there?
First Bernie Wrightson book that really got me. I've always been into horror comics, so I think it was flipping through back issues of the House of Secrets and sorry, I'm having an MS moment on the title, but the two House of Mystery and House of Secrets.
Yeah, House of Mystery, House of Secrets.
Yeah, it's those two that really kind of got it because I was a big fan of collecting those books, and like I went out of my way to get them when they were dirt cheap.
Yeah, they were for a time there. You could get them in either like $1 or $2 and $3 bins in really good shape.
Yep. That's basically where I kind of noticed him, and that's also where I really got into Neil Adams, was through there too.
Yeah. He didn't do as much work in there. He did a lot of covers too that were really nice.
Yeah, it's more of his covers. That was a cat.
Hello, cat.
That's the cats again. Yes, when I call myself the alley cat, I have to.
Yeah.
And I may or may not have gotten them high before the stream.
Jonathan is suggesting even if you don't get a new lamp, just trying an LED, that might help.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I need to get something just to have light where I'm at, because I have an overhead light and then I have 2 other lights in here.
Yeah.
I'll darken it when I go to do the more of the pencils. I mean, I'm just doing the rough right now, so
Sure.
just finding the shapes. I'm actually taking inspiration from a Bernie piece,
Cool.
changing it up a bit, but I figured there's a Frankenstein piece that I really liked where he's just like hovering over Victor, and I really love the scene. I figured I would do my own thing with it.
Is that the one where he's near the tree?
I think he's actually going into like a tent or something, or like he's in a room and he's moving the curtains by when he's on a bed.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the tree one too. But this one I'm just gonna doing that. I'm gonna change them up a bit because I don't want to just copy the piece.
So you're drawing Frankenstein, and I'm going to draw some Swamp Thing Wolverine. I'm going to try not to butcher it too badly, but it goes back to one of those. I know of 2 team ups. There was the original one with Bernie, and then there was another one that a pal of mine worked on, where it was Pat Broderick and Steve Bissett did one.
Yep.
That was one of the annuals in the 80s after the Alan Moore run.
Yep, I remember that. I believe I have that.
And all like even the old Bernie Swamp, the Bernie Swamp Things were never dollar bin books, but it took a while for them to get like obscene. I think it really took until grading took over for them to get really expensive.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I picked up his first appearance for like $50.
Oh, in the House of Mystery.
Yep, the House of Mystery first appearance. I got that for like $50. I mean, I don't have the best copy of it, but it wasn't like, grading wasn't really huge at the time or anything. Because I think nowadays, even with the one I got to, somebody would buy it to slab the thing, and it would probably still be a couple hundred.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And I got it signed by Bernie at that con where I brought the suitcase.
Oh, okay. Was that the same one where we found the portfolio of cheap sketches, or was that the later one? I don't remember.
That was the same one.
Same one.
Same one.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a great con for getting something. Nobody was going to him either, which was so weird.
Yeah. Like he had been there once at one of the earlier Boston Comic Cons. That was probably like, back when it was in the basement at the Back Bay Events Center. But but it had been a few years, and it was even so. Like when word got around the convention that he had a binder of prelims for like $50 to $100, they were just gone. People just showed up and they were gone. Word of mouth just spread, and it was like wildfire.
Okay, I think I'm kind of happy with that.
I'm still trying to come up with what I want to do here.
Not to fix my anatomy and all that, but I'll do that when I pencil.
Yeah, the Back Bay basement shows, Jonathan. Those were the.
Those are great. Those are the good old days.
I showed this to Allison before we started. I took this down to Fan Expo in New Orleans, and I had previously, obviously Bernie's no longer with us, but I had him sign. He did a story in the Treehouse of Horror for The Simpsons, and he did one story where it's Homer sort of turning into Swamp Thing, and then there was also a Marv Wolfman, Gene Colan, like Tomb of Dracula riff, and Bill Morrison was the art director. He did the cover art and like the framing sequence for the whole thing, and Bill Morrison was down at Fan Expo New Orleans with was it 4C? Yeah, 4C Comics. I guess he's rep by now, and I got that signed by him down there. Got a few other books signed. I got I was a couple tables away from Art Adams, so I had him sign my Cloak and Dagger random issue that he did mid-run that is still in dollar bins. And then this Marvel 2-in-1 Annual #7, which is one of my favorites, signed by Ron Wilson. And,
if I was thinking about it, I would have tried to pull out like a bunch of my Bernie stuff, but
oh, don't sweat it. I just had this stuff from the trip. Yeah. And yeah, one of the things I noticed about Fan Expo down in New Orleans is that pretty much everyone was charging for signatures. Like it's not controversial or anything. It was just a fact that most of the creators, and of course all the celebrities there were charging for signatures, and it varied. People had donation up to like $10 is what I saw for the creators. And there was plenty of original art. Klaus Janson was my next door neighbor for the weekend. I had to loan him my eraser for a period of time, and I don't think he liked the eraser, but he was a nice fellow. I'd only met him briefly at the. What's that?
You using the mechanical eraser?
Oh, I loaned him just a white elastic eraser.
Oh, all right.
But yeah, it was a good show. It was busy all weekend. I would say that it was probably not too dissimilar from other fan expos, but the one thing that was noticeable in New Orleans, of course, was that there was more music. There were bands playing or marching bands walking through occasionally. Of course, it was at the very beginning of Mardi Gras, so there was a presence that was a little different than like a fan expo Boston or Cleveland or one of those.
That's awesome.
I actually hadn't done a fan expo in years, so I think the last one was in Boston a few years ago. So
yeah, well, I haven't done a fan expo since I don't even remember, but I need to get my table in for Wicked Comic Con. I've been lazy.
yeah, it's hopefully a good one. They're doing 2 days this year, so and it's at the Heinz, I think, downtown.
Yep, that's my only concern is me getting into the Heinz and being able to get in there easily.
Yeah.
Luckily, you get two badges, so I can try to convince somebody to drive me in and be my partner in crime for the con.
Yeah. They usually let you have a table helper at least.
Yeah.
There we go. I think I'm starting to see it.
I'm kind of looking down.
Hey, Kevin. Good to see you again. Good seeing you down in New Orleans. Thanks again for the sandwich and the coffee. All your help.
Oh, how is New Orleans about getting food in?
Kevin didn't have a problem. There was the convention center wasn't really close to the downtown area. You had to walk a few blocks or take a lift or whatever. There was food in the convention, but I don't know. I can't usually, unless I'm desperate, I avoid the con food itself.
And I'm completely with you. I'm poor, so
yeah, it's expensive and usually not great.
I do draw comics. I mean, it's not like I'm a multi-millionaire. So.
Yep.
Oh, Desiree is a fan of Art Adams. I'm definitely a fan of Art Adams as well.
He's a left coaster. He's out that away. So he made a trip down to New Orleans. And I forget the three artists it was. It was he, Magnola, and there was one other artist that all went to school together, and then they all broke in together. Maybe for left coasters, I couldn't remember.
I'm not sure who the other one is, but yeah, I know who you're talking about. That may spark some memories.
Trying to get some large Wrightson-esque cape into this one, but it's tough. Fitting two characters on a sketch cover can be tough.
No, you got to use the back a lot of the times too, and have it come through with the lead thing, like the 2-page spread trick.
Yeah, that's true. Kevin says, "I don't like starving artists, and Ian is so skinny."
Fair. I can respect that. I'm getting skinny. I've dropped 100 pounds.
Yeah, yeah.
Damn COVID weight.
Oh, we were all stuck inside, staying home and trying to get through the stress and everything. It was tough.
Oh yeah, no, I completely admit that mine was mostly stress eating from being unable to do anything, and then being high risk on top of that. So
Yeah. I still, wear my mask in busy places for sure, and
oh yeah, I do too.
but I would say, knock on wood, I feel healthy. I'm hoping I even avoided the con crud this time.
Yeah, if I'm at a con, I'm definitely wearing a mask.
Yeah.
The last thing I need. I mean, I wore one the entire time at Rhode Island, so
Yeah. And Rhode Island gets super busy. Lots of people. So
yeah.
totally understandable. Douglas says, I can't deal with how Allison is holding a pencil. That sounds like Douglas.
Hey, when I rough out, I do it like this. So
Just roughing it, yeah.
But when I'm actually penciling, I tend to hold it like I'm holding any writing implement. So sorry, I'm a heathen. Yeah, when I'm finding my shapes, I tend to hold it super loose and like this. I can use my entire arm. But yeah, when I'm actually penciling, I just go for what I find comfortable.
I think I have to exaggerate this a little bit more. Trying to dive into more of that cartoon language, and I've been talking about it a lot lately at the show, on the stream, and everything else. And being a fan of old comics, there's like some melodrama, some exaggeration. You move the poses, you stretch the faces, and it's got. I don't know. I find as much as I can enjoy realistic comics, I tend to find the exaggerated ones being the ones I go back to more. So
you're not going to get any complaints from me on that.
Yeah, I know. Spilled a little bit of my water. At least it wasn't ink, right?
Yeah. I've got my ink right here.
I'm hoping I'd at least just get the pencils done. If I could do that, I'd be psyched.
Yeah, my goal tonight is pencils. So I'm probably going to go a lot more detailed than I usually do with them. So
I actually think I'm going to have to move that roughed out verbiage. Oh, geez, you're stuck in KC because of the glitch, the computer glitch, the flight glitch. Sorry to hear that, Kevin.
Oh, that really sucks, Kevin. I'm sorry about that.
I can commiserate with the being trapped in travel.
Yeah, you just had that last week, 2 weeks ago when we were supposed to do this the first time.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, and then driving back from Ohio. Yeah. Based on when we left in the morning, I was going to be back in plenty of time to do it. But there was a point where the traffic in Connecticut and the ETA just kept getting later and later and later. That was when I had Camille send you a text like, "I'm sorry."
Yeah, I wasn't surprised, honestly. I was just like, whatever, it happens.
I was holding out hope. I was like, something good is going to happen. I'm going to make it. And it didn't. But I would say that, like, I don't know if it's travel karma or what, but our flight back and our ride home from New Orleans was as smooth as it could be, honestly. And I'm sorry to bring that up for you, Kevin, if that rubs you the wrong way. But man, it was nice to have one flight back that was not canceled and didn't end up in driving home from Louisiana too.
Oh, the amazing Jay is here.
Jay's been at all those old Boston cons that we were at.
Oh God, yeah. And then we have Brian with 2 hours for the price of 1. Yep. I hope I'm as good as he.
Oh, your artwork's very good. You just have very different influences, and that's something I always enjoyed talking about with you. Even going back to when we first met, it was like, oh, you're more into like the Otomos and the Shiros and the all these other cats and ladies that I was not exposed to that art until much later. So maybe if I had found that when I was younger, I could have gone in that direction. But I just think it's super cool. And it just goes to show that, like, and one of the things I try to demonstrate on this channel and during like the making comics panel is that there's a million ways to make comics, and they're almost all right when it comes to style.
That's true. I finally got better shape design. So everything that I've been thinking about when doing art lately is shapes. So
yeah.
Like, can I make the shapes work?
I always think of it, and I don't know if you think of it the same way of drawing as having like 2 major steps. There's form and then there's finish. Is the way I label them. Is like there's a million different ways to finish it. Whether you're a crosshatcher or an etcher like Bernie was early on, or if you're a person who does like just the super clean lines that I am incapable of doing.
I would say
but you do clean lines.
I was going to say, I'm more of a clean line person.
Yes.
I like to really kind of render the line, so. It was something Dave was telling me that he liked about my stuff. So.
Super clean, yeah. And you could see Allison had an interview with David Finch on her channel, and it should still be on your YouTube page. I put a link to it in the description.
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, Dave's a good friend.
Which
we're going to be doing a draw stream together too.
Which that's very cool. I watch his videos from time to time, depending on his topic. There was somebody who commented on one of my earlier drawing streams. They're like, "Do you know David Finch? You should be on his channel." I was like, "I don't know him, but he's a nice guy. I don't know."
That I'm digging. Was it Ash's work? The more I see it for real. I'm not sure.
I think he means Allison. That seems like Jay speak for Allison. I sometimes have to be his translator.
Oh, okay.
I've translated Jay for many years, going back to editing his Distracula books.
I like the Distracula books.
My father loves the Distracula books, so much so, and this embarrasses Jay every time I tell this story. But I'm going to tell it again because he's here, and it'll embarrass him. My old man has like a shelf above his desk, and actually 2 people in the stream right now, Doug and Jay. My dad has his shelf above his desk in his office, and on that shelf, he keeps his favorite books. And whose books does he keep there? He keeps Jay's Distracula books and some of his other books and Douglas's Arsenic Lullaby. And the one book that I did that is now, as of this last Christmas, I finally made the shelf after years of not being on the shelf, was the Wally the Green Monster book for the Red Sox. So,
that's a fun book.
I don't know what that says, but it's just, I always find it funny, and it always embarrasses Jay. That and the fact that like my parents one time gave him a bunch of dress shirts for Christmas. He's like, they think I can't clothe myself or something.
No comment.
There's nothing wrong with metal shirts.
No, there isn't. There really isn't.
All right. I think I'm not doing a giant moon, but I am using the cliche spotlight on the brick wall.
There's nothing wrong with that.
People seem to like when I use the more direct lighting on that JSA piece I did at the show this weekend.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to put a lighting arrow in on this when I actually go to light it. So.
Oh, okay. So you do the same thing that I do. You'll make like an X or draw an arrow.
Yeah, I usually do something like that in the corner to say light here, and then sometimes I'll be like do like this and make a few arrows just to tell me where things are coming from. Sometimes I can visualize it. I do it better when I note it.
Yeah, yeah. Same. I'll get too caught up in my own head and forget it. I got a good comment from Douglas here. I'll have to contact your dad and have him take your book back off the shelf.
It seems like it's a little bit out of focus.
And now mid sketch, I have to share like the greatest find that I've ever had on eBay, I believe, and that is the giant box of Zipatone that I got on eBay recently. And I know most of the people in this stream have seen it, but I have to tell you how excited I am to mess around with this stuff, because like I'll even show you more of what's in here. Like they have these different symbols that I've never seen in Zipatone before that I could maybe use for like energy blasts.
I am super jealous, to say the least.
There's like whole trees. I don't know if I'm ever going to use those, but like I'll find a way.
Oh, I've used those.
You've used the trees?
Oh, I've used those because it's just like I use them as background pieces. Like I'll like draw something in, then I'll cut them in and stick them in the background behind everything.
Yeah, I was trying to think of maybe if I could cut into it and use it as like a screen pattern or something. If I wasn't using the whole tree, there were like these weird leaves and stuff. These were cool. These were like little bubbles. I have no idea what these are supposed to be. You have any idea? Can you see these?
Let me move closer to my screen so I can take a look.
Yeah. Maybe they're like the
little like energy blasts or something. Yeah. Like, summon energy. That's my first thought of what they could be.
Yeah. They look kind of like dandelions, when they get all puffy.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. There's some bigger ones. These will have to. I might have to just invent a character that has this kind of energy or something.
I'm like hyper jealous that you got those. So.
Oh, and it was like $35. These are like the bamboo roofs of like buildings. Like
yeah, that's so cool.
You got a bunch of letters, and I'm gonna put high-res scans of these on my website so that people can use them digitally if they want to.
That'd be cool. I'll definitely grab some of those to use. I'll put them into a database.
You were making a maps, so here's some compasses.
Yeah, that would make my life easier.
Yeah, brick walls, all kinds of floorings, and then there's like the classic screen patterns. Now it doesn't have all the screen tones, so clearly some of them were used. This isn't like a full set or anything. I think I'm missing like 2 screens. I have all but like 30 and 40% screens. So like it's not a complete box, but they threw in a whole bunch of these other random sheets. So, and also just the box is cool. So
yeah,
I'm disproportionately excited to put those to use on some artwork.
No, I completely agree. This would be like super fun. That's weird.
Because I know how to turn them into brushes in Photoshop. So it takes a little longer, and I'm sure somebody else will do it anyway. But if I get time, I'll do that too. At least with the basic screen patterns.
Yeah. One of the things I like about Clip Studio is you can like paint with those, with the Zipatone.
Yeah.
Jay thinks we're crazy. He's right.
Jay was saying it was a cry for help. I talked about it in a thread. I threw it on Eli's comment, just that I've become obsessed with the language of comics. Like characters and IPs are cool and all, but it's like it's what they do with the story and everything, and it's like the panel layouts and the like trying new things, and sometimes that stuff doesn't work, but like there are certain things that are just well established in my mind and in the minds of, I think, a lot of people that are like comic book, and you see people who just put random screen tones on things, or they'll try to without knowing their purpose or how they function, just to make
Right.
it comic booky. Hell, I saw it in the I still haven't seen Into the Spider-Verse, but why do you think they put dots around everything? You
Yeah.
know, I
Mhm.
mean, they did the same thing in the IDW Marvel books. Like they would just haphazardly have dots on stuff at times, and it like would have nothing to do with the light source.
Right.
So
I use them to shade in my stuff. So
yes, or to at least create like visual breaks or depth somehow. Like you
yeah.
could completely screen out a foreground piece or something. And
Yeah. Like in my book I have an area lit by torchlight.
there you go.
And I use them to give the effect that an area is shadowed because the torch doesn't expand that far.
That makes perfect sense.
Let's see. Brian's got a good thing on there about scanning them and turning them so they work with like vellum with a laser printer. That's a pretty cool idea. Yeah, print them
Yeah.
on vellum and cut them out. That's a really good idea.
Do you need a laser printer for that? Yeah, you do
I
need a
think
laser
you
printer.
do.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
close. I don't think Batman would have an open hand. Like he wouldn't be caught. He'd like wouldn't be caught off guard that much. I think he'd be like,
I would give more of a fist, I think, or if you have something in the hand.
yeah,
The only times I ever really think about drawing Batman with an open hand is if he's got, using like a jujitsu move or something of that nature.
right. I think I'm gonna have Batman holding like an old lantern.
Oh, that'd be sweet. I think about this now. If I did Batman in this with Frankenstein, I would do the Gotham by Gaslight Batman.
Yeah, that would be cool. That was a great book. I mean,
That was one of my favorites.
who was it? Someone was asking me like, maybe it was my buddy AC at the show, what my favorite era of Mignola was, and I don't know how it is for you, and I'll ask you the same question, but my answer was like when he was really just starting to get into Hellboy, like, and you saw that like he was like really into the work, and he was really
Yeah.
like pushing himself, and it was this new thing, and the way he spotted blacks and the way he designed pages, like he always had the great sense of design, but I always thought that he was at that point really like going for it.
That was my favorite era of him as well. I was definitely into his early Hellboy more than the later stuff.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, I hate to sound this way, sometimes I felt like it was almost like a parody in some ways on his later stuff. That makes sense?
I think, yeah, I see what you're saying. I know he went really loose with the ink. I love his current stuff that I love are like those pencils and watercolors that he's been doing.
Yes,
I think
love
those are, yeah, I think those are
And,
beautiful.
I really loved his Preferred the Great Mauser stuff.
Yep. Al Williamson inking those.
Yep. Those are really good. But I also read all the original stories, so
Yeah, the Fritz Leiber. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Lieber, the Lankmar stuff.
Someone in the chat will correct us at some point, like 5 years from now.
Probably. They're welcome to.
Yeah.
If my brother Jeremy's watching, he can correct us. He's basically a scholar of swords and sorcery.
Ah, yes. I remember you mentioning that about him.
I don't know anyone who knows more about Robert E. Howard than he does. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that.
I met him at Rhode Island, right?
Yep, yeah, he was at Rhode Island.
Yes.
Yep, big guy, glasses.
Was he the guy I was trying to get the food from?
I think that was Sean.
That was Sean. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Jeremy was trying to find Euro comics at the con.
Yeah, they can be tough to find in general, but at Rhode Island, like I when it comes to the older comics and stuff, I pretty much just see Marvel and DC.
Yeah.
Occasionally you see a box marked other and it's like Image.
Yeah, exactly. Rhode Island isn't really a comic con in that sense. It's more of a media con, so.
Yeah. There are a couple of good comic vendors. My buddy Christo carries good stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's more of like a family all around.
Yeah. I mean.
And one of the things go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, we did get all those sketch covers, so.
We did. We got a zillion sketch covers cheap, which was great. And
I gotta work on that Ant-Man one with the movie coming out.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. One thing I did talk to a couple of people. There was also no Tick Comics. Brian, that's not true. I had Tick Comics at my table. There were no Tick Comics you didn't have yet, I believe is the case.
And Jay's worried about you going Full Metal Jacket with Zipatone.
Well, this is my Zipatone. There are many like it, but this one is mine.
Exactly.
Don't worry, Jay. Thanks to Allison, we can now have our late night drink and draw stream, which will be probably a weekend. It'll probably have to be on a weekend, and we're going to have to put some sort of advisory. And we might not be able to even broadcast it on Facebook. I'll have to look at the terms on that.
I want in on that. So
we did one that was just on YouTube right before the pandemic, and it's still there, and I just haven't watched it. And I'm sure it was very like, oh, there's this thing that's going to happen. Everything will be fine, though.
Boy, were we wrong.
Yeah. But at Fan Expo, when I was talking to my other neighbor on the other side, John, he was a local writer. He worked for Innovation back in the day. We were talking about shows like Fan Expo, and like when we were kids, the entry point for comics was like, the newsstand, and that's what you hear a lot of older creators saying, like, oh, we got to get back to the newsstand, but nowadays, the entry point for a lot of comic people that I've met in my travels has been at these shows. Like, they see the movies and they hear Comic-Con is in town, and they've never read a comic, but like it's a totally new person coming into that, being introduced to comics. So like, I don't know, I've just been more conscious of that, doing more shows lately in different places and different types of shows, and having stuff that's, all ages appropriate with the Tick Comics has been really important. And I give free comics to kids there. And it's just like, it's the new entry point for a lot of folks. And, I'm not resentful of that fact. I just see it as the way it is now. And I'm just trying to adjust to it.
There's no point to be resentful of things. Times change. I mean, I mean, where did I first get into comics? The newsstand.
Yeah.
But things are different now.
Do you remember the name of the shop you first bought your comics at?
Bleacher Creature.
Bleacher Creature. Okay. So was that was it just comics there, or was it a newsstand or a sports card store type place?
Comic baseball cards. I mean,
okay.
I would buy comics at the Myett's Country Store, at Curtis's, which is going kind of back from my area. They got bought out by Tedeschi.
They used to sell comics at like Hills, even the department store, when I was a kid.
Yeah. I think they had them at Zare. But yeah, I mean, those are the places that I was getting into comics at. And then I found a specialty store, which was sports cards and comics.
Okay.
And I remember it was run by this guy named Frank. Weird dude.
Is it still there, or has that shop since passed?
That shop has long since passed. He actually sold it to 3 people and then disappeared. So, And it was 3 separate people who didn't know they were getting assaulted.
Cool.
Exactly. And the other person who I would buy stuff from was a guy who ran a place called Chris's Comics, and his name was Chris. Then he sold it to a guy named Dave, and Dave never changed the name. So
everyone came in like, "Are you Chris?" He was like, "No."
basically.
That's funny.
And I still buy my books from Dave. To this day, I still buy them. He doesn't have the shop anymore because the building got sold out from under him. But he still sells comics, and he's thinking about opening a new store.
Cool. So does he sell online or just word of mouth?
Word of mouth through his basically through people who he used to go to the shop all the time.
Okay.
So he still sells to people there. He still goes to cons and all that. Still does buys and things. Actually, I just got my Christmas present to myself was the first appearance of Iron Fist.
Oh yeah, you showed me a picture of that. That's a very I do not have either that book or the first Swamp Thing, so you got me beat there.
Yeah, you got more original art than I do.
So when did you start collecting original artwork? Was that a later thing for you after comics, or did you get going on that pretty early?
I was more of a later thing. Like I got into it with actually I think it was Bernie Wrightson was the person I first started buying real original art from. I buy sketches on occasion from artists at different cons, like usually indie artists and stuff. I would get like I remember I got a Raven piece from someone at one of the old Boston comic conventions when they were like at the Radisson.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was even before me. That was.
I used to love that show. I actually got a Tim Vigil piece at one of those cons.
Oh man.
I still have it. I have a Tim Vigil Faust piece.
His Kickstarter just made a crazy amount of money.
Yeah, I'm so pissed I missed on that because he's only doing so many copies and he's sold out.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah. I mean, I have all the original issues of Faust, but I would have loved the collection.
I never read Faust, but I was working at a store when those last issues were like trickling out.
Mm-hmm.
So there were still like a surprising number of people who just kept it on their pull for like whenever it comes out.
Yeah.
So it has a loyal fan base.
Yeah, it's a very interesting book because people just like, oh, it's like an adult comic. And I'm like, well, it is, but it also has a story. And the artist will blow your mind on it. It's so good.
Yeah, more monsters need to wear hats and trench coats. I think that's just the way it is.
I completely agree.
Hey, Jonathan.
I need to do a Turtles piece with them in the trench coats.
Yeah. Thanks for popping in, Jonathan. Have a good night, man. Jonathan. I remember the one of the first times I met Ron Mars in person. It was actually at one of the first show out in Albany that I did, Empire, and I brought the Bernie Wrightson what was it, Hidden Treasures or whatever it was, the all splash pages Batman story that Kevin Nolan inked.
Yeah, that was a great one.
And he did the text for it, and I remember asking him about, like, oh, you must see a million of these. He's like, you'd be surprised. This is a book I don't see very often. And I guess that leads me to think that maybe not a lot of people ordered it when it came out, because I remember seeing it in previews, like because there had been whispers and rumors of that book existing for years.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like the Silvestri Batman. I mean, that just came out. He's been working on that for years.
Yes, yeah. I've only read the first issue. Have more come out? I haven't been to the store much.
Yeah, the third issue just came out this week. I haven't
Okay.
read it yet, but I know the third issue just came out. And I'm enjoying the story so far, and I think it's Silvestri's best art.
I like the first issue, so I'll probably check out the next one. I just haven't been with all the to-doings going on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the other Wrightson book that really got me was Spider-Man Hooky.
Oh, the graphic novel.
Yep, that got me, because I was a huge Spider-Man fan. And that book was very important to me. I think I copied a lot of pages out of that.
Yeah. Those graphic novels, like, I remember when I first got, I think the first one I got was it was either the Captain Marvel or it could have been the X-Men, the God Loves Man Kills.
Oh, that's one of my favorite books.
Yes, it's still a book that I recommend to people who want to try out the X-Men.
Well, that book sums up the X-Men pretty well.
It really does. Yeah, even to this day.
It's actually in some ways more important these days.
Yeah. And the art's just beautiful, and the production values, they did it on that nicer paper. They did all those books on nice paper as compared to the regular books that came out then.
Yeah, it wasn't newsprint.
So we do love newsprint, though.
Oh, yes, we do. If I could print my books entirely only on newsprint, I would. I should say, if I could print my books entirely on newsprint affordably, I would. So.
Ethan says, hello from Bakersfield, California. Hello, Ethan. How
Hey,
are you this
Ethan.
evening? Is the sun setting at that point now? What are they, 4 hours behind?
3, I think.
3 hours behind. One of the things about Bernie's Swamp Thing, I think in my mind's eye, I always picture more roots and stuff growing off of him, but that was really like a beset, total bin thing. He's got like the one over his eye.
Yeah, he's got the big one over the eye, and I always add in more, but yeah.
And it just looks like where his veins are, he just turned those into roots.
Yep, that's basically what I do. And Bissett definitely did that. Actually, a little surprised Carissa hasn't shown up.
Probably busy, making one of her 5 books or so that she's working on.
God, yeah, she is crazy. I love it.
She was telling me her schedule. I was like, I'm tired. I'm going to go lie down.
Exactly. Like, you're triggering my MS. I think I want to make his face a little more gaunt. Yeah, I was supposed to play D&D tonight, but my game got canceled.
So we were able to kidnap you away from your D&D.
Yep, you're able to steal me away from Dungeons and Dragons.
At least for one night.
Yep.
Sometimes when I draw standing up, I notice that my proportions get even more wonky, so I got to sit down to try to fix them.
Yeah, no, I'm changing the face right now. I decided I wanted to make him a little bit more gaunt, and also a bit more sinister looking. I mean, I see Frankenstein as a very tragic character, but he definitely has a sinister side.
Desiree asked, wait, what did I miss about the Tick? I had to step out for a minute. Brian just said that at a show we were both at that there were no Tick books. And I said, no, you just had all the Tick books because they were the only ones that were there were at my table.
Right.
Hey, I keep bugging NEC to make more Tick books every now and again. I'll send them an email. I sent him an email today telling him how excited people were about the Tick down in New Orleans. And, they've long since had to accept they're just going to do whatever they're going to do. And that's why we're going to put out our own books.
Yeah, I mean, I think NIC should hire me to do Tick books. Do I have it nearby? Let's see. Where is it? There it is.
Ethan says, my favorite X-Men book is X-Men #1, but not as much as the story, but for the fold-out cover and the X-Men fighting Magneto. Oh, the Jim Lee stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, the Jim Lee one is fun. There we go. That's my contribution to the Tick. Or one of my things I still have of all the Tick stuff.
The complete Edlund.
Yep.
With the newsletter pages and all in it.
Yep. Love this book so much, and it's all in black and white. Glorious black and white.
They've been trying to put out a color version of that trade for like years.
Yeah, I hope they never do. And I mean, I gotta say, I really wish that he would finish it.
Yeah, I mean, I really do think that had he gotten his third season at Amazon, we would have, because from everything that I was told and I know is that it was only going to be 3 seasons. Like he was going to do a full trilogy story, and then that was, if there was nothing more, he had wrapped up his story. And I always kind of wondered if that would have been the same ending that he was planning for the book.
Yeah,
because I just don't know if I don't think he's ever going to go back and draw Tick comics. I mean, he might, because Ben does whatever the hell he wants to do. And he's a super creative guy, but he still draws pretty regularly, and he posts sketches on Twitter, every now and again. And
I gotta make sure I'm following him.
Yeah, well, he'll tweet like a whole bunch of times, and then he won't tweet for months, and then he'll tweet a whole bunch of times, and then he'll disappear again.
So he's like me on
Twitter. But yeah, if you look on there, you'll see a whole bunch of drawings he just used to do on like Post-it notes and stuff. And they're beautiful. And I don't think he'd ever do a book for like DC or Marvel because he wouldn't own it. But I always had in my mind that the one story that if I were to be like, hey Ben, here's a traditional DC assignment, I would say a Bizarro story, like a classic Silver Age DC with his twist to it. I think would be just. I know that. Eric Powell did one in the Action Comics run in like the mid 2000s.
Yep. I believe I have that one that he did. Yeah,
it was right around the time of like Adam Kubert was drawing it and Richard Donner was writing it with Jeff Johns, I think. Yeah,
I do have that one.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it was like a 2-parter.
I collected pretty much everything he did, so at the time. I actually have a complete run of the Goon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I just thought it looked funny, so I ordered it. So.
I liked it. I like the Albatross anthology books they've been putting out lately with Chimichanga and the lady with the motorcycle with the mask. I can't remember her name.
Yeah, that's so good.
El Diablo.
Yeah, and he did the Big Trouble in Little China stuff, too.
Yeah, he wrote it, and he did those covers. I forget who did the interior artwork.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, no, he didn't do the interiors, but he did the covers, and they were gorgeous.
I think at the end, Joe Eisma, I think, was drawing it.
Might have been.
Desiree says we must kickstart that last season into existence.
That would be good.
I know they tried shopping it around. That I know from official sources, I will say.
Ian knows people.
They just look at me and go, nobody's going to believe him anyway. Ha 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 ha. And they tell me all the secrets of the universe.
Yeah, I probably get that too. So.
And what was the episode of The Simpsons where Homer got abducted by Kang and Kodos, and just before they dropped him off, they just dumped rum on him? Nobody will believe you, Rummy.
That's so true.
Unfortunately, I have not caught up on any like new shows that people were asking me about at New Orleans. I've been watching like reruns of Scooby-Doo in the morning. So
yeah, I haven't really been watching too much new TV. I watched The Bad Batch, and I watched the Andor show. But
yeah, how was that?
I loved Andor. I thought it was some of the best Star Wars they've done in a long time.
Yeah. It sounds to me like the people that like Andor are the people that loved that prequel. What was it?
Rogue One?
Rogue One, yes. There seems to be a Venn diagram almost of a circle with that audience.
Yeah, it's different. And that's something that I like, exploring different things in the Star Wars universe. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love guys running around with laser swords hacking things to bits, but
the movie I need is the Chewie Lando buddy cop in the universe movie where the Millennium Falcon is half filled with Ewoks. That's the movie that I need, that no one else wants to see.
I would watch that movie. Hey, I am a diehard Star Wars fan through and through, so I'm a super Star Wars fangirl. I liked the sequel trilogy. I had issues with the last one, but overall I liked the sequel trilogy. So people can send their hate, and I don't care. So
I finally did see the last one of those. I saw it on TV, and I thought they were perfectly entertaining movies. I didn't see anything like it. I don't know. I when it comes to a lot of these genre flicks, whether it's superheroes or some of the adventure science fiction and things like that, like especially the ones made by Disney, like they all kind of operate within like this safe range of quality, and they don't always try something new.
That's one of the reasons I liked Rogue One so much.
Yeah, and they're not terrible, but they're never like, oh man, I've got to write a dissertation about the psychology of this movie.
Oh yeah, no, they're popcorn movies.
Right.
And as long as I get some basic entertainment out of it, like I can check my brain at the door on certain things, I don't care.
Yeah. I feel similarly about like bad old horror movies and just cheesy cult flicks and stuff like that. Like I can have a lot of fun with good movies and awful movies. It's mediocrity where I get real bored.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of the same way with it. I mean, one of my favorite movies, and it's a terrible movie, but I absolutely love it, is the Masters of the Universe movie.
Oh yeah.
It's god awful, but it's the best fourth world movie I've ever seen.
I completely agree with you. The biggest Star Wars fan, or the biggest Motu fan that I know is, and you know him too, is Chris Campana, and he makes fun of me for preferring the movie and the comics to the cartoon show. Like the comics and the mini comics I like, and the movie is just nostalgic, stupid fun to me.
Yep. I'm the same way.
And also just the glory that is the Frank Langella performance in that movie.
He was so good. He was perfect. I was actually watching it the other day.
Awesome.
I threw it on in the background because I needed some noise, and just listening to him is just it just makes me feel so happy. But I also love his Dracula and everything. So
Yes.
I think one of my secrets to drawing is if I can nail the face, no one will notice if I screw something up later. So
I think we all hope that. We really do. Douglas says Rogue One was the only good Star Wars movie, and Desiree says Rogue One was great. I have spoken.
oh, no, it's fine. Everybody's allowed their opinion, even if they're wrong. Sorry.
And Desiree says she would love a Lando movie with Donald Glover in the role. Yeah, I
would love that too.
Yeah. And I know people are gonna be mad, but I thought the Han Solo movie was fine.
I loved the Han Solo movie. It was great. It was silly fun.
I don't think I would ever be like, you have to go see that movie. I don't think there's anything in that movie that is like going to change anyone's life. But if you want to like fill an hour and a half without too much like mental strain,
yeah, it's a check your brain at the door movie and just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, Woody Harrelson's character in that was amazing.
Case in point, totally forgot he was in that movie.
Yeah.
No offense, Mr. Harrelson. Loved you in Shoes.
Yeah, exactly. And who else is in that? The woman who played Khaleesi in Game of Thrones. I mean, she was the love interest in it, Kira.
See, Game of Thrones is a show that I get made fun of for having never seen to this day.
Up on it.
I never said I wouldn't see it. I just say I haven't seen it.
Yeah, you're fine. I wouldn't hold that against you.
And the people that love it should be jealous because I've never seen it and I'll be seeing it for the first time.
Oh, that's a tangent I just made.
Han Solo movie was so unnecessary. Nothing against the actors, but I totally didn't need it. Yeah, well, I feel that way about prequels in general. I really do. I have yet to see a prequel where I've said anything other than like, yeah, it was fine. You know, it was fun. I've never, I don't know. In comics, I think I've made exceptions just because I wasn't alive when a lot of the origins happened. So like some of the prequel and re-origin telling stuff was new to me. Like when the Mazzucchelli, Frank Miller Batman Year One came out. Like that was one of those where I wasn't alive when Detective 27 came out.
Yeah, neither was I.
Yeah.
I can forgive comics a bit more myself. I generally don't like prequels. I did like Rogue One a lot.
Yeah.
I think that's an exception. And I like the Andor series because it's very different. But I mean, the thing I hate about the Andor series is I know how it ends.
I think Rogue One was the last one I saw in the theater.
And yeah, they were planning on doing an Amelia Clarke thing, and basically they canceled all the movies because all the planned movies they had canceled because of the poor performance of the Solo movie. It still made money, but it just wasn't the blockbuster they were expecting. Because originally Obi-Wan was supposed to be a movie, and the Book of Boba Fett was supposed to be a movie. The less said about that travesty, the better.
I've not seen any of those.
The Kaiju Rancor scene was cool, though.
I don't have Disney Plus. I'm sorry.
You're fine. They adapted some of Amelia Clarke. Yeah, they adapted some of that stuff into the comics of what they were going to do with her character.
In the Marvel ones, like the newer ones.
Oh, yep. Okay. The Bounty Hunter World Wars. I mean, the really cool thing is what Lucas was planning to do with the sequel trilogy, because he actually worked up a write-up on the sequel trilogy before he sold it to Disney. But they didn't end up. He basically sold it because he just had a son and he's like super old and it takes 10 years to do a trilogy.
Well, his son was in one of them because I've seen him at a Comic-Con signing pictures of him himself dressed up as a.
Oh yeah, this is his new son. He has a second son.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because he had his son who was in episode 2 and episode 3.
Right, yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I
because he
thought.
gets killed off in episode 3. Spoiler alert for a movie that came out in the early 2000s. Big character dies.
There you go, Douglas. I'm gonna be doing heavy shadow because it's obviously we're talking Bernie here. I've got the trench coat and the hat. I'm gonna have the classic spotlight brick wall behind him, and then with the cast shadow, probably this is gonna be one of the light sources right here. He's holding an old lantern, and that's gonna come up and cast a shadow.
That'll be
up,
good.
up over here. You'll see like the hat. Because if you can get the hat, I don't have the brim right. I'm gonna have to redraw the brim because, as we all know, hats are like tricky, hard to draw.
Hats are a pain in the ass. But yeah, so this is what I got so far for Frank. I'm sorry, I'm doing him in a trench coat myself, and got kind of an imposing grin on his face.
This is a pro trench coat disguise stream.
Oh, definitely. And I'm thinking about having the light source over here, coming down. So I'm going to shadow out areas around here and try doing a good lighting and get kind of a good room light. And because it's Wrightson inspired, I'll have a lot of blacks. But I came prepared.
Douglas says, "Good work on the chin/smile."
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. As I said, if I can get the face right, no one will care about the rest.
Douglas did the pinup in the back of Helena where she's got the one bad guy by the horn and he's pointing at the other one like, no, it was that guy.
Oh, that's awesome. I like that
Yeah.
pinup.
Yeah.
You're going to be doing my pinup in the next one?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Fantastic. I'm going to need your cover for my book soon.
Sure.
Well, you got time, but yeah. Easily got a couple of months. I got to finish a few things. And I have to do the color work. I'm getting pages back from the flatter now, so.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Fedoras and trench coat make you completely inconspicuous even if you're the thing in 2022. That's so true.
It is. It's the perfect disguise. If we could have two Swamp Things, like two small Swamp Things, standing on each other's shoulders in the trench coat somehow.
I thought we needed 3 Swamp Things for that.
You know, I think you're right. And you got to have the little the trench coat belt like flapping in the breeze.
Oh, most definitely.
Three. You do need 3, Desiree says, and Douglas says Swamp Thing, Man Thing, and the Heap.
That would be fantastic.
Did you ever see the one Skywald comic that Tom Sutton drew for the Heap? It's kind of like an oddity in comics history, but I'm such a fan of Tom Sutton's like crazy line art that I found one at one point. If you
I have never read it, so
I'll have to loan it to you. I just have a beat copy, so I'll pass it your way because it's an interesting little tidbit. Like I wonder what would have happened had that company not like folded.
Yeah, that would have been pretty cool.
Because they did like
Mike Frontier. Yeah, to take a nap after work. I'm sorry, I had to take a nap today myself. Then again, I was in the hospital all morning, so.
Yes. But you got some work done while you were there, it looked like.
Yeah, I did some sketches on a redesign. Actually, on a headshot piece. Didn't get a lot done, but that's what I was doing in the hospital today.
It's a good start. And you said it was a redesign for the really exaggerated, like, bulky character you showed me.
Yep. Let's see, Willow on Disney Plus, but also Don't even have to buy it when it comes out on DVD. Yeah, Willow was okay. Overall, I enjoyed it. I looked at it as a self-aware D&D game.
I love that movie as a kid. If I had Disney Plus, I probably would watch that one, or at least give it a try.
I enjoyed it overall. The first 2 episodes, I wasn't too sure if I was going to be really into it, but when I hit the 3rd episode, I was just like, okay, I'm kind of liking this.
How do you not love Warwick Davis?
No, I'll definitely agree that's one of the reasons I came back for the 3rd episode. So
Yeah.
yeah, Willow was it was a fun series overall.
My dad was like he was definitely a jock and stuff in college, but he was also like a super fantasy nerd, and he's the guy that got me into like Conan and Robert E. Howard and Tolkien and stuff. And there was one point, and I remember it, and he was like, "Ian, we're gonna sit down and watch this movie because I really want to see it, and I think you're gonna like it." And he rented it on his way home from work at one point, and like in straight, we always hung out like on the weekends and stuff because he was working. But this was like a midweek movie where he was like, "We are gonna sit down and watch Willow." Because it was new at the time. It was a new release. That's how old I am.
I know that feeling. I saw Willow in the theater.
Yeah.
My dad took me to see it. So
okay, so we have a similar experience with that.
yeah, my dad was like, I think you'll really like this because he's the one who introduced me to like Lord of the Rings and everything.
Okay.
But yeah, that was a really fun movie. I really enjoyed that.
Mad Mardigan.
Yep, Mad Mardigan. Oh, thank you, Brian. I am working on getting better lighting. I'm gonna purchase another light this weekend probably to put in on this like a stupid desk lamp just to get some more light in here. So thank you very much. I guess I could have just shared my screen and drawn on my tablet, but I like drawing on paper better.
We like traditional art here on the channel, so
yeah, I much prefer traditional art. So. Yeah, so I'll put on another light over here, see if it helps a bit. I don't think that changed anything. I literally have every light on in my apartment right now. So.
I kind of feel like that's how it is in my studio room here. Like you could probably see my window from like 3 blocks away because of the amount of light.
Yep.
I just see the electric meter spinning in the basement. Jason asks, how was your show in New Orleans? If you talked about it, I missed it. It was good. It was real good. I met lots of folks. I saw lots of Tick fans and did lots of sketches. I worked my face off at that show. I was drawing until like 1:30 at night. I was posting them as I got them done, actually, one of the nights. At Harley, I drew was at like 1:30, and I looked at her costume, and I actually, if you look at it now, I didn't flip-flop the black and red side, so it was 1:30 a.m. Mistakes were made. They were happy with it, but yeah. And I did a bunch of sketches. There were people that brought copies of the free comic book day issues I'd done. I didn't see any what I would think of as like people bringing me to sign any of the Turtle books I'd done, but I'm not surprised because a lot of those are regional variants. I shipped down a whole box of books because we were staying with family. I was able to ship stuff instead of carrying everything, and I wasn't sure what books would be popular. So, and it was my first time doing that show. And as you know, Allison, like you get a feel for a show after you've done it more than once, so you can ballpark it. I hadn't done a fan expo, so I was just kind of doing more of a generic setup, and I came close. I would say I brought maybe about a 2-inch stack too many comics, including the bags and boards, so like 15 or 20 books, but the rest of them all sold, and I gave away some free comic book day issues to kids getting their first comics, and did a couple of interviews, sold some stuff, met some nice folks that maybe it'll turn into doing some covers and stuff for them, but you never know. And Yeah, I was next to Klaus for the weekend. Klaus Janson. It was supposed to be Terry Kavanaugh next to me, the editor of Marvel Comics Presents, which I would have talked his ear off about Marvel Comics Presents.
I would have talked to Sarah about Marvel Comics Presents.
Yes, but he didn't make it that weekend. And on the other side was comic sketch art, and at the end of the table was where Mark Brooks's seat was, but he was only there for a few signing periods. Next to me was the nice lady who ran the booth, and just down the way there were a couple of like young adult authors that wrote like I think they're either picture novels or graphic novels of like young adults versions of DC characters, and she had she had a ton of fans come up that loved her stuff. She wrote one book, and I was actually going to text you, Allison, and I'm sure you have it. Is because she
Raven
wrote
one?
Yes, a Raven book.
Yeah, I got that book. I got that one, and I got the Beast Boy one, and then I had the Raven and Beast Boy one.
See, you already had them, so.
I love those books.
But yeah, she was like the middle of that table next to me.
She is actually the closest writer to the way that I would write Raven.
Okay.
If I did my own Raven series, if DC ever gave me a Raven series, that's how I would kind of do it.
Jason says, I didn't know you did a G.I. Joe cover that I have. I saw it on your table. Yeah, I did one G.I. Joe cover. That was interesting because it was originally going to be, and this is just what I was told, so I don't know if it's true. It was originally going to be Mike Zeck doing that cover, and he had to bow out. All I know is I got it at the last minute and had to get it done in a day.
Damn. I remember when you were drawing that cover. Yeah, that was a while ago now.
Yeah, and I was, I don't admit this often, but I was never the biggest G.I. Joe guy. I just wasn't. Nothing against the people that like it. I just war comics and war cartoons and me didn't mix.
Well, nothing wrong with that. Everybody has their taste.
Yeah. I'd rather watch Paddington Bear eat marmalade.
A little weird, but hey, we're all good.
Oh, they posted the Paddington Bear. I don't know if you knew Hanna-Barbera did one, a Paddington Bear cartoon back in the day, and they only did one season, like a lot of those cartoons, but they just put it on Tubi, and it's not good, but it has its moments.
Well, not everything can be the Flash Gordon Filmation series, so.
That cartoon is great.
Yes, it is.
And I don't say that about all the Filmation cartoons, believe me.
No, I don't either. I've seen He-Man.
Doug Paskovich, I have the complete set of Paddington original stop motion. Yeah.
Oh,
see?
super cool.
See, there we go. Paddington Bear fans unite.
And Jason's more of a He-Man guy. That's fine. I like Shira better.
Michael says, bye, Ethan. I don't know if he means me. Bye, Mike.
No, there was a person in the stream named Ethan.
Oh, okay. I must have missed that. Yeah. Oh, there it is. Ethan Ailman. I'm sorry. Yeah. Bye, Ethan.
See ya. Thanks for stopping by.
You guys know I'm here every Wednesday. Unless I'm stuck driving back from Ohio. And now, now there's going to be more people here every Wednesday. So you won't just have to hear my rambling.
Yeah, this adds to the fun. You can have guests now all the time.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I need to have you on my stream.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
How's your February looking? I get you on a Friday in February?
Yeah, probably. I don't think I actually have any shows or anything in February. I think the only time that would be off would be obviously for like Valentine's Day for the missus.
Well, that makes sense. I don't think I'll be streaming on Valentine's Day if it's on a Friday. There is a Friday I know I'm taking off. No, Valentine's Day isn't a Friday. I think Valentine's Day is actually a Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
Because there's a Friday the 17th, and I think I'm going to New Hampshire that weekend.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm going to go play video games at the Fun Spot.
Oh, okay, cool. I've never been to Fun Spot. It's I'm told that around here it's like a required pilgrimage.
Yeah, it is. I've been there a lot, but then again, I have a lot of family in New Hampshire, so I used to go up there a lot as a kid.
Okay. I regularly call the giant liquor store / lottery spot / diner as you cross into New Hampshire. I call it New Hampshire Land.
Yeah.
It's got like a giant wooden moose or bear statue of some kind. You can get smushed pennies with the old man on the mountain there.
Yep, you can.
I don't know. I can't just call it like a truck stop or whatever. It's New Hampshire Land.
That's literally a requirement. If you're going to New Hampshire, you have to stop there.
Yes. It's right. It's right after the tolls.
Yep. Fun Spot. You must go there. You must go. I go there with my kids all the time. That's from Brian. Yeah. You're about 20 minutes from it. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Fun Spot's a great place to go. I mean, it's one of the biggest arcades in the world, I guess.
Allison, you might have met Brian at Rhode Island. He was there with his two little girls. Maybe not. I don't know if you were there on different days. But
I was
he's
only
like
there on Sunday, so
okay. I think he was there on Saturday. So, but he's like super Tick fan and model trains and stuff. He has a giant like model train business for all like the miniatures and everything.
Oh, that is sweet. I actually used to buy a lot of that stuff when I was making terrain for Dungeons and Dragons. So, they make some of the best stuff.
Brian says a lot of old arcade games for old people like me. They got pinball for people like me in there too, where I don't care if I'm bad at it.
Oh yeah, they have pinball. They don't have as many pinball machines, but they do have them. There's a pinball arcade right in Rhode Island.
I go to Free Play in Providence once in a while.
I think that's the one I'm thinking of.
It's just around the corner from the convention center, actually.
Yeah, I think that is the one I'm thinking of. My friend Andy goes there a lot. He loves pinball.
They have a ton of pinball machines, and I actually sat there and played the because it's obviously you pay a cover, and they don't have tokens there. You just all the games are on open play, so you can just keep playing until you beat it.
Yeah,
and there was one night I just had to sit there and play the X-Men arcade game until the end.
I definitely need to go there just to play the X-Men arcade game to the end. I haven't played that since I was a kid. I loved that game.
Yeah, they have all the classic beat 'em ups like the X-Men arcade, the Simpsons, all the TMNT games, the original Gauntlet.
Let's talk to my friend Jeremy about going to that too. Forgot about that place that they actually had arcade games there too.
Yeah, and they have table hockey.
Well, you can't go wrong with table hockey. When you accidentally launch the puck across the room, haven't done that before.
No.
I think that's why they started to build them with the enclosures, so you couldn't do that.
Yeah, you're probably right.
They used to have a table hockey thing as a kid.
Never had that. I just had the original NES classic, Blades of Steel.
Oh, Blades of Steel was great.
And there was a meme going around like, what was the last game plus the last TV show you watched? Last game you played plus the last TV show you watched, and what random terrible mashup would it make? And for me, I had just played Blades of Steel, and the last TV show I had watched was Letterkenny. So I think that would actually work out pretty well.
That would work out perfectly fine.
You just get some snide comments about the degens in between periods, and
you have to have your what was it? your poutine.
Yeah. The beer brand was Puppers
Yep.
beer in the show.
Yep. God. The two of us make an interesting team. So,
Oh, we keep it fun.
exactly.
I could ask you serious art questions.
What? Yeah, I'm not serious. Know a lot of psychopaths then, Douglas? I'm thinking I missed something.
Oh yeah, he said anyone with a model train who's under 70 years old is a psychopath. Oh, come on.
Hey, at least they don't have a Zipatone collection. Oh, wait.
Yeah, yep. Douglas, does that include those trains that are from like the Christmas tree store that goes around the tree at Christmas time? I feel like that has some crossover. Like there has to be a different classification than just the psychopaths.
My mom went out of her way to get one of those one year. It was great.
So did my parents. Was there like a sale in the 90s on those things?
It must have been, because it was in the 90s.
Oh, see, Douglas gets a pass. Says those get a pass. The Christmas tree train gets a pass.
Okay, all right.
All right, Brian, we'll just lie to Douglas and tell him that they're all Christmas tree trains. I actually know a few people, like a couple of friends of ours actually do the model trains, and I've been meaning to ask if they've ordered anything from Brian's company, because they go to like those model train conventions too.
I've actually been to one of those when I was really little, and it had some of the coolest stuff ever at it for like modeling things.
See, I would think that early on, at the beginning of the table RPG, people would use like model train stuff.
Yeah, well, as I said, I used to buy that stuff to build terrain and things for my games.
Yeah.
The fake water effects and stuff, just brilliant. They're part of the Xmas theme. It's not a lonely man in the basement with a 6-year-old tiny town. They see.
Douglas, I'm gonna be watching those parts of Beetlejuice where Baldwin's character is working on his little town in the attic a lot differently now. You've really opened my eyes. Thank you. The biggest model train show of the year is coming up at the end of the month.
Oh, that's cool. Where is it?
Springfield, MA.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Do you guys like take over the Basketball Hall of Fame out in Springfield?
I work for the company that built that.
Oh, really?
Yep, PBD Construction.
Okay.
I used to do all their IT work.
I went to it when I was a kid, and I've been told that they've completely redone it since then. So.
Yep, that's the version that the company I work for did. We didn't do the original; we did the remake.
Oh, okay.
I actually had a thing up on the website that showed them build the basketball, like this like before streaming was really a thing, in like the late 90s, early 2000s. I put together a whole thing of cameras you could click on to play a little movie that showed it construct the basketball at the front.
See, this just proves I got the right person to help me out with this stuff.
Yep. Okay, make sure you alert the FBI about that show. It's not the Big E. Okay.
For those that don't know, Douglas is a stand-up comedian who happens to draw pictures that make stories. I think that's how you classified yourself when we were talking last time.
That sounds right. I think you get a little bit of static. I'm not sure if it's me or you.
Am I getting static? I'd have to do the exit the studio and then come back is my only trick. I'll give that a try.
Okay. people just be stuck with me. And now you're all stuck with me. Oh, Panion's back.
Is that better?
Oh yeah, it sounds a lot better.
Cool.
Yeah. Illustrator second, that's why I can only draw 4 different faces. That's okay. There's major artists who can only draw 1 face. So.
That is true.
Like major big time artists that can only draw 1 face. I won't be naming names on the stream.
Well, one person who self-identifies as someone who puts out, he actually calls it casting the same actors is what he does. And he synthesizes, he has like 2 synthesized actors that he's made from James Garner and a couple of other old classic actors. I forget all the ones. Maybe it was James McGowan was one of them, but I don't remember all of them. But it was definitely James Garner was one of them, and that's Howard Chaykin. Is like he has like a cast that he tends to use and applies them to different archetypes, and it's part of his visual lexicon that like if you see this type of face, you're gonna immediately know where they exist on the like timeline of shades of gray instead of good and evil, where generally most people's characters exist. I always found that interesting.
No, I find that cool with Shaken. Also, Shaken wasn't one of the ones I was thinking of. So,
well, he talks about it. He talks about it in. He does a video called The Paradigm, which he explains a lot of visual narrative technique, including like simple stuff that you and I know, like establishing shots, the return, which in an entire page setup that there's really not a lot of real estate on a page. So, and the first one they have for free online, it's like a pay series that he did, but you can check out the first one for free on YouTube. And if people want to start going down the rabbit hole of like identifying different techniques and the proper labels for storytelling devices, it's a great place to start.
I would definitely recommend anything about Shaken. So,
yeah,
Shaken's amazing. He did some really great Star Wars stuff too.
And he's an artist that we were talking about that you can actually still buy original art pretty inexpensively from. I bought a panel from Hey Kids Comics at the last show I saw him at for like $30.
Yeah, he was at Rhode Island, wasn't
he? Yep.
Yeah, because he's right around the corner from you. I think I got to say hi to him briefly.
Yeah, and I think Jay, if he's still around, he picked one up.
I didn't have a lot of money at that con, so.
Michael says, I have wanted to sign up for the Paradigm for a while now. It's really excellent at trying to formalize ideas that you maybe have some conception of. So if you're really looking to button down some of those ideas, it's really good. I recommend it a lot to people who have already gotten past the like how to draw comics the Marvel way type stuff. And you definitely have. Yeah. And that stuff's great as like your gateway thing, either that or graphic storytelling and visual narrative. The Will Eisner book, that's another one I recommend all the time.
I love his books.
Yeah, and he does a lot of the same things that Chaykin does in the Paradigm in that book, but instead of it being in a book, he talks your way through it, and he really does kind of try to establish, the actual names for these devices. And this is stuff that he learned, working for Wally Wood and Gil Kane. He was an assistant for both.
Yeah. Chaykin is an amazing artist.
Yeah, and the one aspect that he talks about also that I definitely relate to, as far as the art goes, is like he talks about he's not the greatest draftsman. He didn't have the most talent starting out. But he had determination and blind rage is how he describes it. Now I don't have blind rage, but I definitely have like a stick-to-itiveness and my stuff does not come from having like beautiful rendering. Like I don't have that like slick hatching. I don't have what Bernie had. I don't think anybody does.
No,
I don't.
Bernie was in a class to himself.
Yeah, and even people like Scott Williams, who's taken slick out, or we talked about Tim Townsend, like those really slick lines. I don't have that, but I can write, and like when I combine it with the pictures, I then have something that elevates it a little bit in my estimation. I mean, I'm not trying to like toot my own horn. I'm actually putting myself down quite a bit. It's just that I think I need more elements to my work, and I think that's why I do better comic art than like pinups or anything like that. I don't even think my covers are all that great. They're functional, they're professional, but they're not like, oh my god, look how beautiful that's rendered or anything.
I like your rendering a lot because you have an old school feel that I really love.
Well,
Like
thank you.
you really have a Bronze Age look that I dig. So
The 1991 Marvel Holiday Special. That's my entry point. It had old school artists in it, like Dave Cockrum. So
yeah, but I mean, I purposely try to make my stuff look dated. So
yeah. And I think we talked about this before. I'm just trying to think about story and cartoon language and however it comes out. I'm not trying to think about the style necessarily. I definitely got bogged down with some of that stuff when I was younger.
yeah, shape design is more what I care about. I mean,
Yeah.
I do think about like where I'm putting my lines, but shape design is pretty much everything to me.
Yeah, so you at one point you were starting with silhouettes first.
Yeah, I still do in a lot of ways. Like if I do anything digital, I always start just with a silhouette.
Yeah, which is a
And then I
great way to
build on
design.
that. Yeah, I just use was it a hard round brush on like Photoshop. I set it to like 60 pixels, and I just blurt out silhouettes until I get the shapes I like.
Yeah,
That's
it's a good
something
way
else
to.
that say Rob Duenas of Sketchcraft really beat into me.
It's just a good way to not get bogged down on all those little details.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, even with this, I mean, I did very loose rough, but just to kind of start to spell out what I wanted. And then I'm like, all right, I'm going to take this as like a base, and then I'll kind of go. And that's where I got to this piece now. And I have some reference art up on my iPad in front of me. So,
Okay, nice.
that's it. I was inspired by a Bernie panel, and I'm changing it up a bit. So,
Yeah.
doing my own thing with it. I'm actually going to probably change up this arm and make it more doing something.
Trying to give Batman the taller ears and some better drapery.
See if it lost focus. Yeah, I definitely got to get more light in here. Yeah, I like the ears on that. But then again, I like Batman with big ears.
Yeah, makes me think of like the first time I saw it was probably with Aparo, but then the more exaggerated ones with like Kelly Jones.
I was just thinking Kelly Jones, but yeah.
Yeah. And he was very much obviously a fan of Bernie, just based on his style.
Oh god, yeah.
And he did a couple of Swamp Thing miniseries with Len Wein at DC, not that long ago, a little while ago now, but maybe like around I think the first one was like around Convergence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds right.
And then there was another.
Got most of those.
Yeah, and there was another one after it that both Len and Bernie share that they didn't finish the last series on their what people consider some of their signature characters, in that like Frankenstein Alive was finished by Kelly Jones, and at DC the Swamp Thing Len Wein story, they printed without words the last parts that they had done.
Yeah, the Frankenstein's Alive stuff I loved, and then Bernie passed.
Yeah, and that was a book that came out like 1, 2 issues a year for a while, and you know, I was just excited whenever a new one came out, and the store I was shopping at JP Comics, like that was one where I definitely twisted some people's arm into checking that one out, and they did not regret it.
That was yeah, that was on my pull list of whenever it would show up.
Yeah.
I was
Doug
big.
says Jones's Alien miniseries from the 90s was fantastic. Yes, it was a
Yes,
beautiful.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
That was an amazing one. And
Bernie did Alien
yeah,
stuff.
I was gonna say Bernie did one too. It was like Superman Alien, I think it was, or Batman Alien. He did something like that. One of those two crossed, and it was great.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna have any hatch marks on Batman. I want to keep his cape like slick looking. Like Bernie made it look almost like it was oil draping off of him. How slick it looked.
Yeah, he did.
Let's start chunking into here.
So what's the next con you're doing, Dan?
Next con. You know, I'm not sure. I'd have to look at my calendar. I'm just surviving and still recovering from the last one. It definitely takes me longer than it used to come back from those things.
We're getting old.
Yes. And I had my root canal, so it's like...
Oh yeah, that definitely sucks. Yeah, I'm not even close to inking this yet. Honestly, I probably could do inks on some of it, but I'm not satisfied with my pencils.
I think I'll cross out the Batman and put the Swamp Thing. And...
I wouldn't say no to that.
And I don't know. I always see words and pictures working together as comics. So I've just been adding more hand lettering to my stuff, and it's not perfect because I'm not trying to make it super slick, but it feels right. I don't know, and I just like it.
Well, you're happy with it, right?
Yeah, and I struggle with just pinups, but I do fine with actual cartoons and comics. Like I really do struggle with pinups.
I actually have an easier time drawing pages.
Yeah.
It's like once I can get the layout I like, I usually have a much easier time doing pages than pinups myself. I'm good at headshots. If you just want a headshot, I can usually blurt those out pretty quick. And I can make them look interesting.
I also have a background in like graphic design, so like it's a fun way to apply some of the other stuff that I know. And we'll definitely do a stream just about lettering and graphic design at some point, because I keep getting questions about like how do you design a title treatment, how do you set up your InDesign files, stuff like that.
That I'd be interested in seeing. I primarily use Clip Studio, but yeah, InDesign is that's industry standard, so learning more about use of that is always good.
I use Illustrator a lot, but sometimes when I'm putting together a book, I'll put the pages into InDesign, and I know that certain people do that. The art chemist says, "Good evening, everyone." Hello,
Good
art
evening.
chemist.
Hey.
I'm gonna have to use a lot of whiteout, I think.
Oh, yeah, I came prepared for that in case I needed it. I got lots of Posca pens. Or if I really want to, Posca pens.
I use the what is it? The Pentel Presto pens. They're it's just whiteout.
Yep. I have some deleter ones around here too of that. And then I also have just a thing of deleter white.
Fancy.
Yeah, I bought a manga starter set and it was actually a pretty good deal for what came with it. So got some Copic white. I'll try it. Try it out sometime to see the quality of it. Well, Copic generally makes really good stuff. I like the Posca pens because they're basically paint. I mean, I have a good amount of the Posca pens just in general. Like I have some of their other pens too, so actually Daniel Warren Johnson got me into using Posca pens. And I was actually saying, it's like, oh yeah, I was thinking about trying out more of those, and he's just like, yes, you should. I'm like, all right, fine, I'll do it.
That's cool. I've never actually met Daniel Warren Johnson.
I haven't met him in person, but I have hung out on his stream, and I did do that color work on his Do a Powerbomb logo for him. So
yeah,
which I don't think he used my version. I don't really care. It was just more of the coolness that I got to do it. So
yeah.
I mean, for all I know, he could be using it on the trade paperback, but hey. I was trying to get him on for an interview, but he hasn't returned my messages yet. Granted, he's probably busy.
Yeah, sure.
I messaged him, so. Yeah, he was trying to do something in Photoshop with the logo. I'm like, just send me the file.
You're helping all of us technologically not inclined fools.
Oh, hey, I helped Walt Simonson out when he was having issues one time, too. That was years ago. That'd be like close to 10 years ago now.
Wheezy must have been busy.
Yeah. It's like, I'm having trouble with this. I'm like, just call me. I will fix it. forget what he was doing, but that was a while ago. So he's a local. I think he is. Yeah, he's a local to the Boston area, isn't he?
East Coast, I would say.
Yeah. He's a nice person.
Very much so.
Yeah, him and Weezy are really nice.
I actually met him at like either the first or the second Rhode Island Comic Con. I don't remember which one it was, but it was an early one.
You remember the Comic Artist Guild?
Very vaguely, yeah.
When they had their first Boston chapter meeting, they showed up to it at the garage.
Wow.
That's where I met them for the first time. God, you're already on inking. You're way ahead of me.
I always try to get a little bit of ink so I can show it at the end, but I usually end up tweaking it all the next day anyway. One of the questions I get asked the most often is, how do you answer questions and draw at the same time? And I kind of equated it to like learning how to play guitar and sing at the same time. It just takes a lot of practice.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think I'm decent at drawing and talking at the same time. I mean, I do a show of it, so.
It took me a while to like remember, oh, you have to read the questions.
Yeah, you do have to read the question out loud, so. And this is why when I usually stream on Fridays, I do all my preliminary work first, so I can just go in and do the drawing.
Yeah, I just didn't have any time today.
I didn't either. I was too tired, so. Because I usually would like board it over and have like a solid like rough out there and just go and kind of do it. But I am liking the way this thing kind of came together organically.
At one point, I told Douglas that I liked doing the roughs before the stream. And he was like, and then he asked me why, or someone else asked me why. I said it's because I don't want to be swearing on the on the stream. He was like, "That's what we want. Give the people what they want."
Exactly. I think that's one of the reasons I don't do the roughs on the screen, because if you saw me, this one came together. I got kind of lucky with it. But yeah, I'm usually like, oh, son of a minute. Not what I want.
Sometimes when we don't have a choice, sometimes we get that focus.
Yeah,
I notice that when I'm doing like convention sketches where it's like, oh, I have no idea who this. I had two. I have no idea who this character sketches this weekend.
Oh,
And
okay.
one of them was a guy who was like a completist for Martian Manhunter, and he was getting sketches of any character that ever appeared in a Silver Age Martian Manhunter comic. And he had villains that were like in one story, and there was this weird looking dude with like a very long face. He was kind of heavy and had a tiny little mustache. I was like, that guy. If that's a mustache, I'm drawing that guy. I have no idea who that is, but it's one of those things where it's an anchor so that I have something to exaggerate and be cartoony with. And it's kind of like a built-in piece of the design that I can rely on. And the other one was actually the same guy. And this one I posted. The other one was on a jam, and I don't usually post jams unless they tell me I can.
Right.
Because I don't know if the other artists want me posting their stuff.
Yeah, that's fair.
But the other one was he was getting like every actor who was ever in Evil Dead sketch.
Oh, I saw that one. Those one I thought was George Lucas.
Yeah, no, and he kind of looked like him, at least back then.
Yeah.
But he had guy with a beard and a very distinctive sweater, and then a whole bunch of folks that didn't have, in my view, something that you could caricature easily to lean on. So that's
Right.
why I picked the guy with the beard and the weird looking sweater, so that I could at least have an anchor for the non-likeness that I was about to draw. And I always have to do the preface of like, do you expect this to look like a photograph? Is that what you're looking for? Because if that is, please go see someone else.
Yeah, because I can't do the photographs either.
I can do likenesses, but it just takes so dang long. Like it takes 10 times as long as a cartoon or a comic sketch, for me at least. Some people can bust them out like
working on this one of Arya Stark, and I think this is one of the closer ones I actually got to a likeness.
Yes. I can tell who it is, even though I haven't seen the show. So
and I admit I was copying a picture, so trying to get a likeness. So
well, you have to. For likeness, you can't pull that out of your head.
Yeah, there's no way I could pull that out of my head. So
and a lot of the most well-known likeness people out there will lightbox. So
yeah, the lightbox. So they'll use that that type of camera that they call it with the mirror.
The camera obscura.
That's it. Yeah.
Made famous by some middle-aged masters.
Yep. And when people look at those incredible renderings of like Times Square and stuff, it's like, yeah, it's a camera obscura that did that. They did that with. Like what? Like it's a pretty handy tool. Get some pretty interesting stuff with it. I haven't messed with one of those in a long time.
Nope. I know that they've debated for, obviously hundreds of years now whether or not Vermeer used one.
Oh yeah, because people have lined up the art to try to figure out if he was using those.
Yep.
I don't really care. It's like
no, but it's just one of those fine art discussions that's gone on for hundreds of years now.
Yeah, it's gone on since the beginning of time, pretty much. But everyone used to have Lucy's for transfers. Then from Mike.
Douglas says 90% of people with model trains could pull her image out of their head.
Okay, then. Yeah, I've had that drawing sitting around for a while. I just took it out of the Bristol book I was just using recently. I was like, I might finish this later. I want to do the arm out. Yeah, I'll figure it out later.
Well, we have reached 10 o'clock.
Have we? Oh, God. Yeah, that went by quick. Might be finishing up Frankenstein on my Friday draw stream.
Nice. Well, Allison, thank you so much for hopping on and sharing your knowledge and your talent. And I really enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you for having me. I hope people get a good look at Frankenstein there.
Yeah, get a zoom.
So,
that looks very nice.
Thank you. Let's see about picking up a new light during the week.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm just gonna.
And thank everybody for popping in. And it's been a real treat. And I always enjoy seeing everybody here every week. And
Hi.
I guess I could do that.
Well, thank you, Doug. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Desiree. Night.
Good night, everybody. See you next Wednesday.
Yeah.